Hi guys, this is Leela. Welcome to my channel Leela WebDev. In this video, we will learn about what is a Docker image for the containers. In our previous series, we have completed what is a Docker container and how we can create the containers in the Docker host machine, and we have seen entirely everything about that one. So now in this series, we will try to learn about the Docker images and what is a Docker image, how can we create a Docker image, what is a custom image, and all those things. Let's try to see it. So before learning about the Docker images and all those things, so what I want to tell you is, so I will try to explain you once again. Yeah, my internet is back again. So now in this video, we will try to understand the basic things about the basic concept about the Docker images. Then afterwards, we will try to learn one by one concept depth in regarding about the Docker image. So what is a Docker image for the containers? So that means for creating a containers, what is about this Docker image? Let's try to see it. So the first one, the first slide, sorry. Yeah. Today in this video, we will start with a new topic called Docker images. If you want to deploy applications in the Docker, you need to have image. That means if you have image only, then only you can deploy the application, means create the container in your Docker host machine. For example, if you want to install OS in the virtual machine or in the bare metal server or in any system, you need to have an ISO or the images, right? So if you want to install the Ubuntu in your laptop, means what you need to have? You need to have an ISO or the image. In the same scenario, same thing. In the same way, in the Docker also, in order to create a container, we need to have the Docker image. That is a simple thing. By default, Docker will pull the images from the Docker Hub. So these are all the concept while creating the containers we have learned it. Just I am trying to refresh it. While in this one, we will try to learn all about the images only, Docker image only. As we all know that whatever I execute a Docker pull command or without downloading the image, if I try to create a container, first Docker will try to search for the image in the local. So that means whenever I try to use the command docker pull and the image name, or otherwise without pulling the image, just I want to create a directly the container, means first what it will try to do is the Docker host machine or the Docker, it will try to search whether the image is present in the local or not. Local system means the where I have installed my Docker, which is called as a Docker host machine. On the Docker host machine, it will search for the image. If the image is not available, then it will start downloading the image by contacting the server called Docker Hub. So this is all the concept well known about this one. So if you are following my video series, the Docker thing, so you will be well known about this one all. If you need to use the public images from the Docker Hub, it is recommended to filter only the official Docker images, which is a certified image, and then we have a verified publisher, and then we have a sponsored OSS, which is called as an open source software. This has to be your hierarchy model. So that means the first one is the official Docker image, which will be having a certified image, and next one is the verified publisher, and the last one is the sponsored OSS. So this is the hierarchy. So which is the top priority? Docker official image is the highest priority. Docker provides an easy way to build and develop applications as images and deploy as a container. So the Docker provides an easy way to build and develop applications as images and deploy as a container. Why I am using the Docker tool? Because not only loading for the containers, we can also build a custom images as per the client or organization requirement. So here this is the concept you need to understand. So now we have developed a container and we have developed an application. We can also build a custom image as per the client or the organization requirement. We can build a custom image in the Docker. So that is the reason we have selected the Docker tool. We can create account in Docker Hub and store images as public or private. So now if you have created a custom image, so where you can store it is, so you can store the image in the Docker Hub. So and store the images either in public or the private, you can store it. If you want to store images in the Docker Hub means, then you need to have an account. Then we can store our images as public or private depending upon the license key. So whatever the license key you are having, so if you are having a license key means, then you can store the image as a private, or if you are having just an account means, you can store the image as a public. So anyone can store the image as a public. Private images need authentication to push or pull the images. So that means if you are having an account which is a private means, then you need to have an authentication. So to push or pull the image. So that means in order to take the image, to pull the image, or otherwise in order to push the image, so we need to have an authentication. Public images need authentication only for the push. So only for push we need to have an authentication, not for the pull. So public images we can download it directly without any authentication. We can also store images. So now you may be thinking that the Docker Hub is the only way where we can store the images like that. You will be thinking, right? So not only the Docker Hub, we can also store the images as repositories in other third-party providers. Like we have something like ECR, Azure Container Registry, JFrog, Google Container Registry, GitLab Registry, and many more. So like this, many more we will be having. So don't assume that we have only Docker Hub to store the images. So these are all different types which we are having. If you are using AWS means then we will be having AWS ECR. If you are using Microsoft Azure means then we have Container Registry. If you are using Google Cloud means then go for Google Container Registry. Like this we will be having so many things. If you are working for other third-party tools, then we have another cool tool called as GitLab for CI/CD operations that can also used for registry as well as to store the images. So that is one thing. Next one is the commands which we use for images. So the first one in the Docker, first one is Docker images. So if you try to type Docker images means it will give you all the images which are available. And the second one is the Docker image build or the Docker build. So this one is Docker image build is the latest command and Docker build is the old command. So this is used for building the image which we will try to see afterwards. Docker login, Docker pull command, and Docker push command and the Docker logout command. So these are all the different types of commands which are available for the images, Docker image. Next one is the commands which we use for images. So the first one is, so this one all we have seen it. So logout, these are the few commands which we use on a regular basis when you are working on the images. The Docker pull is nothing but pulling the images from the repository to the local system, means a Docker host machine. Docker login is nothing but if you want to log in into an account or any repository account, then if you want to log out, you can use the Docker logout command. So these are the commands which we will be using. If you want to build the image, then we can use any of the two commands, that is nothing but Docker image build or Docker build. This will try to build your custom images. If you want to list all the images that is available in the system, then we need to use Docker images command. So the next one is that Docker images are a bundle. So the next one, so what I want to tell is Docker images means it's a bundle of layers and each layer is a read-only layer, whereas the containers are read-write layer. So this is one thing you need to understand. Each images will be having a bundle of layers. Image is nothing but a bundle of layers. Each layer is a read-only layer, whereas the containers are read-write layer, which I will try to explain you. For example, whenever you try to download an image, the image will have some layers like L1, L2, L3 like this. So whenever you want to try download an image like Nginx or anything, it will have a different types of layer, pulling like that, it will try to show you. So let's say that it is having some layers like L1, L2 and L3. These are called as a read-only layers. So that means you can only read those layers, you cannot modify the layers, which means that you cannot manipulate the data which is stored in the image. And your containers are created as read-write layer and this will be attached to your image. So that is one thing. So I will try to explain you this one. So simple example, so which you can able to understand it. So here I have it in Canva. Okay. So now if I want to draw it, so here what I am trying to explain you is, if you try to observe carefully, so this is an image. So this is an Ubuntu image. If you try to see Ubuntu 15.04 image, which you will be having different types of layers. If you try to observe, so this one is layer 1 and this one is layer 2 and this one is layer 3 and this one is layer 4. And each one will be having different types of space memory. So that is nothing but it is 1.85 KB, 195 KB and 188 MB. That depends. So these are all called as an image layers and this total is called as an image. Okay. So this total is called as an image. So whenever you want to pull it means, so Docker pull command you will use it. Okay. And you will use the Ubuntu 15.04, you will use the command. And these all the images layers will be downloaded. So this is called as a read only layer. So these are locked. So that means you cannot modify the content in this layer. Okay. So now, so this is a locked image. Okay. So this image is locked. So that means the contents are prohibited for editing. So these are all only read only layer. Okay. So when you want to create a container from this image, so you will take this image and you will try to create Docker container run or Docker container create. You will use the command and you will give the image name. So when you try to give this image name, and this entire data, whatever the data is there, is copied and kept in this container. Okay. So that means this Docker container is nothing but the content of this one is entirely copied and kept it here. And now you can change the contents of here. Okay. So this is called as a read-write layer. So that means the copy of this image, you can multiply it like this multiple times. You can paste it here like this. So each one, the copy of this image, so you will be creating a container, and these all are read write layers. So that means when you try to change a file in this image or in this container, so the base image will not be changed. The base image will be like this only, but the contents in this container you will be able to change. So this is called as an something like copy on write strategy. So that means whenever you are not able to change this image content means, so you will copy this entire image and you will create a container, okay, and this container will have all the contents of this image, and now here you can able to change the contents of the image, but this base image will be like this only. So here you can change the configuration and all those things, and you can able to do it. So this is one thing which I want to tell you. So this is called as a copy on write strategy. So this is the brief explanation about the Docker images. In the next video onwards, we'll try to learn more about the depth about this Docker images thing. Hope you understood about this concept. If you have any doubts or any suggestions, please post the comments below to this video. And if you like this video, please do support me by subscribing to my channel. Thank you.